What's up guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 3 biggest mistakes I made after quitting Meta to help you with your journey, or if you want to learn a new perspective for your future endeavors as well. A few months ago, I made the terrifying decision to walk away from a 6-figure software engineering job at Meta. I gave up on the free food, the RSUs, the comfort, all of that just to go building a business in AI along with the content creation that I've been doing. Fast forward to today, after a few months, I've been able to build an incredible community around AI while securing more than 30K in sponsorships, which is not really a lot, but it's a lot to me because I just started out and I'm super grateful for it. But the reality is when you transition from like a W2 tech worker to a 1099 creator and solopreneur, it's like learning to walk again. I had to figure out different tiers of health insurance, file taxes that aren't just from a W2, keep invoices from different clients, and defend my budget when renting a home because you can't really rent a home without a W2. And I quickly realized that working at a 9 to 5 took away just a lot of the overhead that most people have just to exist in society. I became the CEO, the accounting department, financial officer, all in one. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on the 3 biggest mistakes I made in my first year working at 12 to 12. If you're thinking about leaving your 9 to 5, building your business, or you're trying to scale your side hustle into a full-time gig, these are the exact landmines you need to avoid. So let's get into it. All right, mistake number 1 is a classic curse for software engineers and people that transition out of a full-time job. And I call it the builder's trap, or over-engineering the product while completely ignoring the distribution. At Meta, when I was there, you have these massive dedicated teams, marketing teams, whose sole job is to make sure users actually see and use what you build. And as a solopreneur, it's just you. And when I first started out, my comfort zone was the VS Code. I would spend 14 hours a day tweaking an AI workflow, optimizing scripts, and making sure my code was flawless. I had this naive, if you build it, they will come mentality. I've had this for a while. I always thought that if I build the most technically impressive AI tool, the internet would just magically find it because it's so good. But spoiler alert, it doesn't matter because they did it. The internet is noisy, and the hard truth about the creator economy and being a solo business owner building online is that the best product doesn't win, but the best known product wins. I was acting like a backend engineer when I needed to be more like a media company. And I almost burned myself out coding in a vacuum because I'd spend weeks building something and 10 minutes tweeting about it. But the fix was I had to ruthlessly flip my time allocation. So I instituted a new rule. 40% of my time goes to building and tech, and 60% of my time goes to packaging it, writing the story, and making videos for you guys. If you are building your business right now, stop hiding behind your code, just publish it and show it to your friends. And I found that when I was able to market an MVP that I built in a few days first, it was a lot easier to be motivated to build out the rest because people were willing to buy it at that point. And I know what most of you guys are thinking about that. You're probably really embarrassed by the first version and don't want to show your friends or other people. If you aren't embarrassed with showing the first product, then you're taking way too long on it. So the more of the story is market first, then build later. When I was traveling Asia, I met a lot of travelers, met a lot of builders in Thailand, and I learned that a lot of these people would actually make TikToks about different apps that they seemingly built. But they didn't build it yet. They just created the design on Figma and the idea of it. It took them a few hours. Then whichever products start getting the most traction online, they make a wait list within a few hours and build out the MVP the day of just to get people's early opinions on it. But that's what you should be doing. Marketing something you don't have and then building it once there's demand. That's what happens in most tech VCs. But even if you crack the distribution and start making money, there's a silent killer that takes out more businesses than bad marketing. And that brings me to mistake number 2. Treating my business finances like my personal finances was this illusion of the W2 tax. When you work in big tech, your taxes are usually on autopilot. You get your W2 in January, you plug it into a website, maybe you get a refund, but in tech, you end up paying a lot of money and you don't think about it again. But the second I started a business and building content, I realized I stepped into a whole financial battlefield. See, suddenly I'm getting 1099s from different brands and affiliate platforms. I have these complex, expensive server costs for building my AI bots, API credits from Claude, home office depreciation, camera gear software subscriptions, and then someone mentioned quarterly estimated taxes to me. If you haven't heard it yet, don't worry about it. And I had no idea what that was because before Meta was just handling everything about it and paying taxes from each paycheck. I was really scared I was gonna mess with the math, so I kept putting it off because it just wasn't something I wanted to think about. I don't wanna, miss out on thousands of dollars in legitimate business deductions, or even worse, get hit with a massive penalty from the IRS because I didn't know how to file as an LLC. But that's when I realized I needed to stop playing a guessing game with my taxes and bring in a lot of actual professionals. So a lot of content creators and small businesses have accountants, and a lot of my friends do as well. But accountants are really expensive. I'm talking like $1,000 just to figure out parts of their taxes. But something that helped me a lot actually was just using TurboTax. They're a lot cheaper than getting an accountant, and they provide experts in the field to help you directly out with doing them, especially for creators and business owners because they guide you through the whole business expense. But what completely changed the game was TurboTax experts for business. I didn't know this existed before, but you don't just get the software. They actually match you with a dedicated, verified tax expert who understands the creator economy and small businesses for like only $100. All I did was hand my chaotic mess of 1099s and all my random business expenses. There were so many expenses I didn't even know I could write off, like my home and office equipment, my tech equipment, and I prefer they handhold you throughout the process so you can feel like you're learning how to do it. But they also have a version where you just hand them everything and they do it all for you. I think the peace of mind is in the ROI in itself, where you don't have to waste time doing it, and totally worth the price in my opinion because time is so valuable. As a small business owner, time is extremely valuable because you're juggling all these different tools, and the biggest thing is that you have to completely context switch. Like one day you're maybe like building this one app, and then the next day you're building marketing for the app, and then the next day you're doing taxes. It's a lot of context switching. Mistake number 3. This is a trap that most people or most ambitious type A people fall into. It's trying to scale your time instead of scaling your systems. Being a perfectionist. When I first quit, I felt this intense pressure to prove to my friends, maybe the internet, that I made the right choice. And the first thing on my mind was brute forcing it. I was thinking to myself, if I just work 16 hours a day, I could get so much done and there's no way I'd fail. I did everything manually because I wanted it to be perfect. I replied to every single email manually edited shorts, negotiated brand deals, manually scraped data for my AI projects, started making some money, but I started building this prison where I was working not 12 to 12 and had even less freedom than before. Then within a few months of just living this dream that I quit for, I started getting slowly burned out. And you really don't want that. The breakthrough came when one day I was talking to my friend about how much I worked, and I realized I had the mindset of an employee for a company rather than an architect. I started treating my business like a tech startup and lean way more heavily into these AI tools that I usually talk about on my channel. I asked OpenClaw and Claude Cowork to build out scripts to automate my research phases. I used them to filter and draft responses to inbound sponsor emails. I created systems where short form content scripts could be created before I even woke up into the morning, or my long form content could be clipped with an agent without paying for the human labor of it. And as this business owner and solopreneur, your time is the biggest, most finite source, and you can't just scale by sleeping less. You have to buy your time back by either hiring people, which gets quite expensive and annoying, or building out the AI agent tools in order to fix these bottlenecks. But quitting is stressful and confusing, and I've burned out, pivoted, and stumbled a lot. However, I've been so much happier after quitting my job and working at my own record. Hopefully after watching this video, it helped give you guys either inspiration to start something on your own or an unblocker for obstacles that you could face in the future. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow for more ways to automate your workflows in your business. Keep building, protect your time, and I'll see you in the next video.